Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, I should say, if you're in the UK. If you're elsewhere, I hope everything's going well where you are. We're back today with another video. Some more promising things to talk about finally. Obviously, a big win against Liverpool. And now, obviously, we've got a big game coming up on Saturday lunchtime, a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday in the UK against Southampton. So we're back today with another video. We're going to do sort of a split show. We're going to do sort of probably about half an hour on the Liverpool game. We'll talk about the tactics, where it went right, where it went wrong. Obviously, it mostly went very well for us. And then we're going to talk about the Southampton game. We'll do a tactical preview of that game as well. So, as always, guys, please get involved in the comments. Please leave a like if you're enjoying. Please subscribe if you're new as well. I know we've got a lot of new subscribers. Obviously, I imagine a lot of them are from coming along from Twitter. Obviously, you probably saw my thread on there, so I appreciate if you've subscribed following sort of the Twitter thread. So I really appreciate that. But yeah, let's get going, guys. So let's talk about Liverpool. So what I'm going to do is, as always, I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to talk about the Liverpool game. So obviously, this was always a game where quite a lot of people, I think, were quite nervous about this game. I certainly was quite nervous going into it. I just thought that we probably could nick a point out of the game. But actually, we managed to get 3 points. So fantastic. Obviously, absolutely fantastic. Big up to everyone who's joining right now. I can see comments from Jaheem, Jose, and Adrian. Big up to you three guys. I'm going to read out some comments in a moment, but firstly, I'm sharing my screen on here. We're going to look through the Liverpool game. So obviously, this was interesting. This was really interesting. I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised with the lineup. I was a little bit as well. I was surprised Martial didn't play. Probably wasn't quite ready. I was surprised a lot by the Liverpool team. I thought they would start with Fabinho, but they went with Milner, Henderson, and Elliott. I don't know whether Fabinho had a slight knock. I'm not quite sure, but I was quite surprised that they didn't go with Fabinho from the start, because I thought, if he was fully fit, we know United are going to be strong on the counter. That's what United were looking to do in this game, and target sort of Alexander-Arnold and Gomez on that right-hand side. So I thought Fabinho would start, but he didn't. So let's have a look through this then. So Liverpool set up with a 4-3-3 as usual. Obviously, normally Fabinho is at the base of that midfield, but Henderson was more at the base in this game. So they set up with a 4-3-3, as you can see. The usual back four, really. Obviously, sometimes Joel Matip sort of plays in Joe Gomez's position. But normally, you've got Virgil van Dijk on that left centre-back position. You've got Robertson and Trent. And they set up in a 4-3-3 as usual, really, a 4-3-3 as usual. Obviously, we weren't quite sure how United were going to set up. Why is that so? Well, obviously, we didn't know what Erik ten Hag was going to change, and he made some bold decisions. So Varane came in for Maguire. Martinez kept his place obviously played half a game against Brentford. Malacia came in for Shaw. And then we obviously had McTominay came in for Fred, and Elanga came in for Ronaldo, and Rashford went to number 9. So they were the main changes. So we had quite a few changes actually from the Brentford game. So quite a few changes were made, which is quite interesting. And we're going to talk about sort of why Erik ten Hag made those changes now. So before anyone says, and this is an important point, before we talk about the tactical side of things, the most impressive thing from United's sort of side of things on the game on Monday was just the attitude, the intensity, the aggression. So obviously we're going to talk about the tactics here, which obviously matter, but obviously we can talk about tactics all day. The players have got to go out there and sort of fulfill what the manager wants, and the players certainly did that. So the players deserve a lot of credit for the attitude, the heart, the desire, the passion, the intensity, the running that everybody did. So that's the first point to make. If you're watching right now, guys, please get involved in the comments. Please leave a like on the video. I'm going to read some comments out after this little tactical piece. We're going to just have a quick tactical look through the Liverpool game. I know I did a thread on Twitter about this. And if you haven't looked already, please go and have a look on Twitter. I did some analysis on this game already, but I just want to quickly go over it here on YouTube. So please do leave a like if you're enjoying. Get involved in the comments. Let me know what impressed you in this game. So we've obviously got the attitude, the desire, the running, fantastic. Okay, but you can't have all that without any quality. You've still got to have some quality. So let me just move Firmino a little bit, just where he really was playing. So if we think firstly about how Manchester United set up in possession, so obviously in a lot of games so far, we've seen a 4-3-3 from Erik ten Hag. So we've seen a 4-3-3. We've seen Fred often play as a 6. We saw Eriksen play as a 6 against Brentford. Obviously, Fred in pre-season had played as a 6, and obviously against Brighton he did as well. So against Brighton, against Brentford, we actually saw Eriksen pick up this 6th position. But in this particular game, United actually set up with a 4-2-3-1 in possession. So it was a little bit different from the Brentford game, and it was a smart move by Erik ten Hag, because there's a few reasons why. Firstly, because before Casemiro came in, we all know, and we all knew, and we all still know now, that we don't have another lone 6 player that can play that role comfortably, right? So the double pivot makes a lot of sense. So that's why he started with this double pivot. Firstly, he's probably realised, I don't have that one player I can trust to play at the base of the 4-3-3. But also, what Erik ten Hag would have recognised is the goal kicks. So we changed on our goal kicks. So David De Gea against Brentford and Brighton played 7 long balls. So he played 7 long balls against Brighton and 7 against Brentford, right? In the game against Liverpool, I put this on Twitter, I think it was around 30. It might have even been more, around 30 long balls. So more than double the first 2 games put together. So David De Gea played more long passes, double the amount of long passes he played. If you add the first and second game's long passes together from De Gea, he played double more than that. He made double. They weren't all accurate, but the ones he attempted twice as many than the other 2 games combined. Right, so that certainly shows a big tactic. So why did David De Gea do this? So why did David De Gea opt to go long? Mainly in the first half, he opted to go long over towards Anthony Elanga. So it was this. We were looking for this left channel here. Alexander-Arnold looking to exploit him. That's what David De Gea was mainly looking to do. Why did we do that? Well, the first reason is because we've been really poor at playing out from the back. Right? We all know that. We made big mistakes against Brentford in particular. We were poor at playing out from the back. So we had to make changes in that sort of tactical area, right? We also don't have the number 6. If we had Frankie de Jong, obviously he could drop into this area, whether it be form a back 3 and split the centre backs more, or if we were to play with Dalot as in a more maybe inverted role as well. But de Jong could sort of operate in this area that Eriksen was trying to against Brentford. We would obviously be able to improve our sort of playing out from the back, but we can't do that with the midfielders that we've got. Right, so that's the first reason we look to play more longer passes. The second reason is because Liverpool are one of the best teams in the world from pressing from the front, pressing from dead ball situations, from goal kicks. Liverpool are really good at that. So if you look here, if Liverpool were pressing, we all know that the likes of Henderson and Milner technically they're not world-class players, but in terms of intensity, in terms of pressure, you know they're going to put you under pressure. Well, they're supposed to. They didn't do that too much to us, actually. They didn't play with as much intensity as before as they usually do. But theoretically, we know that's what the three in midfield, you can maybe argue, apart from Thiago, who offers more on the ball, that's what the Liverpool midfielders tend to do, win possession back and recycle it, right? So normally you'd see Liverpool really, really aggressive, and therefore when you play out from the back against Liverpool, you're likely to see turnovers in possession, right? You're likely to see more turnovers in possession than usual, right? Just looking through a few comments. Big up Alien Tenor as well. Yes, certainly Trent Alexander-Arnold got exploited. We're going to discuss that now, mate. We're going to discuss that now when we get sort of higher up the pitch. So they were the two reasons, guys. So why did we play long? Well, you could probably even say three reasons. The first reason is we haven't been good at playing out from the back. We haven't got the right number 6 to do that. Number 2, we're playing against one of the best pressing teams in years gone by in the world. And number 3, we're looking to target this man. We're looking to target this man here. So Trent Alexander-Arnold in this channel, that's where we were looking to target. So if we could put long balls into that channel, even if we didn't win the first ball or even the second ball, it's in that channel. Trent Alexander-Arnold's got to deal with it. Even if he does deal with it, and he maybe passes it back to Alisson or kicks it back up the pitch, United can move up the pitch. So when you talk about playing long passes from the goalkeeper, it's not always about, it doesn't really matter whether you keep the ball. It's just about pushing the whole team up the pitch, and then we could press from there. Right, guys? So that's the first tactical point. That's why Liverpool were restricted in terms of their chance creation. We didn't let them win the ball back as often because we weren't playing out from the back. Right? Okay, that's the first tactical point. Let's think now about so that's in possession. So that's what United were looking to do from goal kicks, right? From goal kicks. In terms of the general in possession, the flow of the game, how it was going, as people have, as Alien Tenor has pointed out, as Jaheem has pointed out already, the big weakness is Trent Alexander-Arnold. I said this on my preview right before the game. The big weakness is here, number 66. That is a big weakness, one-on-one defensively. So you saw from the first minute, United were looking to get the ball to Anthony Elanga, looking to isolate him against Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? And we saw the first couple of times, Alexander-Arnold actually won the battle. But then after that, Alexander-Arnold really struggled. He really struggled. I think Elanga got a booking. I think he got past him once, which was for the goal. So I think if you remember, Eriksen was in this sort of zone. He played a 1-2 with Elanga. Elanga ran into this sort of zone here. And then for our goal, obviously, Rashford, I'm not quite sure where he was. I'd imagine he was somewhere around here. And then the ball was put back to Sancho here. And then obviously Sancho did all of his fantastic composure in the box to obviously get the goal, right? So we actually got a goal directly. We got a goal out of Anthony Elanga up against Alexander-Arnold. We also hit the post with Elanga. If you remember, I think Bruno Fernandes actually. I think a ball was put in. Bruno Fernandes slide tackled the ball on the ground, and he left it to Elanga, and Elanga hit the post. Alexander-Arnold was way out of position, right? So I think the big sort of where the game was won and lost, and I said this on the preview. If you guys watched that, the game will be won and lost in those wide areas. That was the key. How can you exploit Alexander-Arnold, and how can you stop him the other way? Well, Anthony Elanga was the perfect man to do that. He was the absolutely perfect man to do that. Why was he the perfect man to do that? Well, he's very explosive. He's not the best technically, in all honesty, Anthony Elanga. He's not a world-class player by any stretch, right? But he does the basics well. When he's going forward, he takes players on, he's direct, he's got pace, and he caused real issues. So that, guys, is the first, in terms of the goal kicks and sort of targeting Alexander-Arnold. They were two real big things in possession for us. How are we going to get through this Liverpool team? How are we going to cause them problems? Right? What else in possession? Anything else in possession? Also Rashford as well. Obviously, Rashford was really direct. Obviously, in the second half, we'll talk about that when we bring Martial on. But Marcus Rashford looked really good. He looked really good in possession. his off the ball movement was really, really good. So I think, as I said on my preview, Rashford had to play, and he did, and he played well. Rashford overall. Obviously, you can always improve one or two elements, but Marcus Rashford was obviously very direct. Obviously, he got his goal. So there's 6 people watching right now, guys. Please do smash a like on the video. Please get involved in the comments. We're talking about in possession, what worked against Liverpool. We're going to go to out of possession in a moment. So yeah, 4-2-3-1 in possession. Exploit Alexander-Arnold. Sancho also did a great job on the right. He was really, really good, Sancho. Even Scott McTominay actually was, when he received, so if we talk about McTominay, when he was receiving these passes in this sort of right channel area, McTominay was really progressive. He actually played quite a few forward passes in behind into these spaces. So fair play to McTominay. He actually played okay. I'm not a great fan of McTominay. I know a lot of people aren't, but he actually played okay. So yeah, fair play. Well done to United. In possession, we were actually really good. We should really have scored with Elanga in the first half before we got the Sancho goal. But very, very good in possession. We knew what to do. Now we're going to talk about out of possession. So there's 8 people watching, guys. Please get involved in the comments. Let me know what you thought about our performance against Liverpool. We're going to go for another 15 minutes in this game, and then we'll preview the Southampton game. So let's talk about out of possession. So out of possession, the shape was different. So when we were pressing Liverpool high, so this obviously, when we talk about out of possession, we've got to think about many different factors and many different things, right? When we talk about out of possession, you can talk about pressing high, you could talk about in sort of a mid block or a low block, right? So there's different ways of defending out of possession. There's different philosophies that different sort of managers and teams have, and different sort of styles of play that you see. Now, United, so we saw like a hybrid of all 3 in this game. So at times, United were really, really aggressive. So let's say the ball was with Alisson. At times, United were really, really aggressive. We didn't get it right always. Liverpool actually completed their first phase of build-up quite easily sometimes. But there were times where we pressed in this sort of 4-2-4 shape. So it was very, very aggressive. Elanga and Sancho were really aggressive up against Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. In the sort of fullback areas, Malacia and Dalot were really aggressive up against Salah and Diaz as well. Right, and we also saw sort of Varane and Martinez really, really aggressive as well up against the Liverpool players. So if we let me just move these around a little bit more. So you just saw, when we were pressing high, we were very, very aggressive. And at times, Liverpool did break the press when we pressed very, very high. That's going to happen. But we were just so aggressive that when they got to the second phase or the third phase of their build-up, we just won the ball back. We were so intense. I think Malacia and Dalot really set the tone at fullback, how intense they really were. So that was sort of the high, if we were in sort of a high press. We also went to sort of a mid-block as well. So let me just do this sort of mid-block. So at times we sort of sat off a little bit more. And there were also times where we were very, very deep. Okay, so when we were in sort of more of a mid-block, you saw more of a 4-4-2, okay, so a 4-4-1-1. So you actually saw Elanga, Eriksen, McTominay, and Sancho in sort of a midfield 4, with Fernandes and Rashford as a front 2, right? So there were sort of different facets. So when we were pressing really, really high, you saw more of a 4-2-4 with Elanga and Sancho going on to Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. But when we were in sort of a mid or low block, you saw more of a 4-4-2. So obviously a very, very people think it's an old-fashioned formation, etc. But obviously it's still very, very common. And the main reason we set up in this 4-4-2 was to deal with the fullbacks, right? To deal with the fullbacks. As I said on my preview, the issue with Liverpool is not the quality of midfield. We all know without Thiago, without Keita, Liverpool have not got a great deal of individual quality in there. They can't hurt you too much. The areas of concern are these fullback areas. So we knew, and Ten Hag did really, really well. He picked Elanga and Sancho, who were they're both more traditional wingers than forwards. So their defensive role was really, really important up against Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. So out of possession, when we dropped a little bit deeper, so let's drop a little bit deeper now. When we dropped a little bit deeper, you saw a really, really rigid shape. So more of a 4-4-2. And it was really, really good. It was really, really good. And I think Malacia and Dallo were really well protected by both Elanga and Sancho throughout the game. I've said for a long, long time now, guys, I think we don't have enough protection for our defensive players. I've said that for a while. I've always said it, particularly under Ollie as well. I just thought and under Ranić, our wide players were not doing enough to help our defensive players out, right? It's a simple game. You've got to defend, you've got to attack and defend as a team. You've got to make sure that when you are defending, you've got to make sure that you've got everybody in the correct shape. Team shape is very, very important. And in this game, we got the team shape spot on. We didn't worry too much about the midfield area. Liverpool had 3 players in there. We often only had 2. We didn't worry too much about it because we knew Liverpool couldn't hurt us in that area. To be honest with you, Liverpool actually had 4 players in that midfield area because Firmino is more or less a midfielder. He was actually coming into these positions. James Milner was often actually making the runs in behind. He was one of the only Liverpool players to do that really throughout. I think if you watch the game, back, you'll see Gary Neville was talking all the time about the lack of Liverpool runs in behind. And that meant we could press even higher. We weren't too worried, especially with Martinez and Varane, more agility, more mobility than Maguire would give us. We could play a little bit more aggressive when we needed to, right? But we weren't worried about this midfield area. Because Liverpool haven't really got the players in there to hurt you. The players that hurt you were the fullbacks and the forward players. These sort of 4 players, Salah, Alexander-Arnold, Diaz and Robertson. But they didn't really play that well either. Obviously, Salah got a goal. But even Alexander-Arnold kept giving the ball away. But that was partly down to the way we played as well. So Liverpool were poor, yes, but that's also partly down to the way we played. Yeah, so this was a really, really good tactical setup from Erik ten Hag. Very, very happy. I was really, really happy with the way he went about things. Also, throughout the game, so let me get this up, guys. We obviously saw some changes, and one of the big, big changes was... one of the big changes was the introduction of Anthony Martial, right? So Anthony Martial obviously came on at half-time for Anthony Elanga. And this was a really, really big substitution because Rashford went back out to the left and Martial came into this sort of number 9 area. So what was really, really important about Martial, if we talk about in possession, let me move everybody back. So in possession, Martial was really, really important for us because in the first half, we were obviously mainly playing on the counter attack. We were very, very intense, very, very aggressive, but we did struggle at times to hold that ball up. So there were a few times where we played a forward pass and it didn't quite stick. In the second half, when Anthony Martial came on, we were really, really good. Martial held the ball up very, very well, brought other players into play. Obviously, that's how we got the goal from Marcus Rashford for 2-0. And it was onside. I know everybody, there's a few comments about it. BM and Alien Tenor were talking about it. It was onside for me. But yeah, please leave a like, guys, if you're watching the video right now. We're going to go on to the Southampton game in a moment. But yeah, this was a really, really good game from the players and Erik ten Hag. Martial really made a difference when he came on. He gave us a focal point up there. He held the ball up well. I think from memory, he won 4 out of 5 of his ground duels. So his ground duels, he won 4 out of 5, and he won 75% of his dribble. He had a 75% dribble success. So 3 out of 4 dribbles were successful as well. And he won a free kick as well, I remember, towards the end of the game. So when you bring a player on like Martial, it's really, really good for you. It's really, really good to bring that sort of player on, to have that luxury, because you know he's going to hold the ball up well. He's won a free kick. He's battling for things more than he was before. He looks sort of like he looks like a reborn figure. He really does, and I hope that he can perform. And I think we'll look at how he can fit in for the Southampton game. But yes, guys, really, really good performance from the team. When Fred came on as well, tenacious. Ronaldo came on, gave us a bit more of a focal point as well towards the end. Wan-Bissaka obviously was a smart move just to shore things up, and Donny came on as well. But yes, guys, really, really impressive performance. I was happy with it. I think we defended very, very well. We defended in different sort of structures throughout the game. We look very, very dangerous going forward. Probably should have had more than the 2 goals, and we fully deserve to win. We fully deserve to win. So well done to Erik ten Hag. Very, very good performance. Let's go back then to myself. So yes, guys, I'm back here on the full screen. So yeah, if you want to read more about that, do go to my Twitter at @threadranchazza, and I talk more there about the Liverpool game. We're going to go on to Southampton in a moment. Let me just go through some comments. So big up Jaheem in the building. Big up Jose, big up Adrian. Please leave a like if you're watching right now, guys. I'd really appreciate it if you like the video. And do subscribe if you're new as well. We're growing well. Jose's very much right. He made some big decisions and they worked. Big up Alien Tenno. Yes, Trent was the big weakness, as we talked about before, and we did really, really well at that. Yeah, Malacia and Martinez were excellent, guys. Absolutely excellent. Martinez's progression as well was really, really good. If we buy Anthony, Sancho, Martial, Anthony, would this be a decent balance? Yeah, I think that would be good against a team that plays more of a lower block. If you've got a team you want to break down, Rashford would be more useful when you obviously want that more direct runner in behind. But obviously, when you're playing against a team that sets up in a very rigid shape and play a very, very low block, you need players like Sancho, Martial, more intricate players, Donny as well, to obviously break a team down. Yeah, so yeah, you are right. That could work in certain games, but not in all games, probably. We'll play a fluid midfield. Yes, we will need a more fluid. I think Casemiro, we'll talk about Casemiro, but I think it'd be interesting to see where Casemiro comes in. I think he was onside. Yep, I think he was fine. Dante, great. Hey, mate, I'm all good. Hope you're well as well. I hope you're doing well. So big up everyone in the building. Big up everyone who's coming along. Yes, Southampton do have a few injuries. We're going to talk about that game now. So if we just talk about the Liverpool game, obviously it was a very good game, very good performance, etc. The issue is with the Liverpool game, Southampton might have some similarities in terms of the type of team we're going to be playing against, in terms of the style of play. However, obviously, we're away from home against Southampton. So obviously at Old Trafford, fantastic. The crowd was excellent. Really good atmosphere. The fans were actually quite angry, and I think that helped the players. The fans were angry about the Glazers, etc. And I think that actually helped the players. It gave it a little bit of extra motivation. The stadium was rocking. Against Southampton, I think the game is going to be a little bit tougher. I think the game's going to be a little bit tougher. Yeah, we're going to be away from home. It's going to be a tough game. I don't think we've won too many at Southampton in the last few years. I remember the couple of goals that Cavani scored. But I remember last season, I think was it last season where I think, yeah, we drew 1-1 against Southampton. So I think we've got quite a lot of draws at Southampton in the past. So it's not been an easy ground for us in the last few years. So obviously it'll be a tough game. They're on the back of a 2-1 win against Leicester and a 3-1 win against Cambridge in the Cup. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at the Southampton game. Let's take a look at sort of what we think from this game, etc. What we think we're going to expect from the game. Let's have a look. So the Southampton game then. Okay. So here we are. Okay. So this is the Southampton game. So obviously Southampton are on the left, we're on the right. Okay, so we're away from home. We'll probably be playing in that green kit. I'm not a great fan of that green kit. I don't know what everyone thinks about that green kit, but I'm not a great fan of that kit at all. I'm actually going to try and change the kit now to the kit we're going to be playing in. I'm not a great fan of it, but I think we are going to be playing in this green kit when we do play Southampton. I just hope it's not as bad as it was away at Brentford, but we're going to be playing in this green kit. I don't like it too much, but it is what it is. Hopefully it doesn't impact us too much. Okay. My goodness, that's bright. That's bright. Okay. So, what do we expect in terms to change against... Oh, yeah, Alien Tenno said 9-0 in the row. Yes, I think it was away. I was referring, Alien Tenno, to when we play Southampton away, we often tend to struggle. I can't remember too. I think we've drawn quite a few games. It's always a tough game there, but that is true. So what do we expect from the lineup? So this is what I expect to happen. Against Southampton, right? I think the back four should stay the same. I think Martinez and Varane really showed a lot of promise. I think Casemiro, will he come in? Well, he's played a full pre-season, I think, and he's also played a few games, a couple of games, I think, for Real Madrid, or at least he's played a lot of friendlies and at least one game for them. So I think Casemiro, I think he was in training today. I think Casemiro will come in. Obviously, I expect him to be ready. So that would be good to see him come in. And then what do we expect? Well, I've thought about this, and I've thought about sort of Fred. I've thought about McTominay. I've thought about Eriksen, Donny, Bruno. I think he may well stick with sort of Eriksen and Bruno. I think it could just be Casemiro in for McTominay. I do understand the argument. Obviously, Southampton are a very, very aggressive team. Do you want a little bit more physicality in that midfield? But for me, I think Erik ten Hag, I think he wants to dominate possession in more games than not. Obviously, Monday's game was a bit of an anomaly, really. We played to our strengths in terms of the players that we've got, more on the counter-attack, more sort of the importance of off the ball rather than on the ball. We weren't looking to sort of sustain pressure, keep possession as much as normal. We were just looking to kill Liverpool on the break. Against Southampton, I think that'll be a little bit different. I think we'll have to take more of the ball. We'll have to try and control more of the game. So I do think he'll go with a 4-3-3. I think he'll probably switch it again. I think he might play Casemiro, Eriksen, and Fernandes. Even if it's a 4-2-3-1, we've seen Eriksen sort of play in the 4-2-3-1 as well in this sort of area. But I personally think Eriksen will be given a little bit more license in this game to move forward. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think this is a possible lineup. I think Martial will come in, and I think he should come in if he's fit. And I think Rashford will start ahead of Elanga. So I think this will be the team. There could be maybe one or two differences from what I've put here, but I think the majority of the team will stay the same from the Liverpool game. Just going through some of the comments. Jose says, green kit makes the players camouflage against the pitch. Yes. Ward-Prowse is key. Don't give him easy free kicks. Yes. And Southampton will play a 4-2-4-4-4-2. Yes. I'm going to talk about that in a moment in terms of the formation. But there's 10 people watching right now, guys. We're only on 5 likes. So please, if you haven't liked the video yet, please do leave a like on the video. If you're a new subscriber, thank you very much. If you're an old subscriber, thank you very much. Please leave a like on the video right now if you're watching. Please get involved in the comments. We're just discussing the Southampton game now. We're going to talk through a few tactics of the Southampton game. If you're watching this back later on, we've done a sort of a tactical review of Liverpool as well. If you want to read that in more depth, it's on Twitter. But now we're going to talk through the Southampton game. Okay, so Southampton have had a few injuries, as Alien Tenno has said in the comments. But if you know Moussa Djenepo, he's obviously a sort of a wide player. He's been playing at left back. But Romain Perraud, the left back, has just come back into training, and he may well be ready for this game. So I think if he's fit, he'll start. It's a bit of a shame for us, because I'd rather Sancho going up against Djenepo at left back. They might have even changed to a back three. They may well still play a back three, Southampton. I think they did play a three at the back in one of their games earlier on in the season, actually. But I think for this game, I think for the majority of games, they will play sort of this 4-2-2 that we've seen from Hasenhüttl before, right? This is somewhat what I think Southampton will play. The personnel doesn't really matter that much for Southampton, in my opinion. Obviously, they've got some important players. However, I think the way that Southampton play doesn't really change depending on the personnel, right? We know what happens with Southampton. We know what happens with them. Even if they play a three at the back, we know the intensity that they're going to play with, right? We know Hasenhüttl's style of play. We know the counter-pressing system. We know how direct Southampton are and how difficult they make it for you, right? So whichever formation, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, if they do go with a three at the back, it slightly changes the dynamic. However, the fundamentals of the system, the fundamentals of the style of play, the way they want to play, will probably not change too much, right? So I did watch a little bit of the game, and I read through some comments as well of the Leicester game. Obviously, Southampton beat Leicester 2-1, and they were saying that Bela Kotchap, he's a centre-back signed from Bochum from Germany. They said he played really, really well. Joe Aribo, I've always liked him. They signed him from Rangers. He's a really, really good player, carries the ball really, really well. Shea Adams scored, I think, a couple at Leicester, or at least one goal at Leicester, one or two, I think. And then he scored another couple, I think, in the week, one or two yesterday or the day before in the Cup. So they have got some players that are in form. I think there will be some sort of tough parts of this game. But I think this more or less is what Southampton are going to be lining up with sort of in this game. So it's probably going to be the 4-2-2. They may play 3 at the back, but this is what we're used to seeing from Southampton, right? Where can we exploit them? I think Ellie and Tenor has said already, in that midfield area. That's why I would be looking to play a sort of a 4-3-3, or even if you play a 4-2-3-1, make sure that attacking midfield player also drops in slightly just to make sort of a numerical superiority in midfield. Let's make sure we can get on the ball and control the game. What you don't want this to be, what Southampton want, is they want it to be the sort of game that we played against Liverpool. They want it to be that sort of game, very, very rash, very, very fast, rapid game end to end, no real control. What we want in this game is more control, right? We know if Casemiro comes in, we've also got if Martial comes in, okay? If we play a 4-3-3, we know that this team I've put out, in terms of the balance of it, we know this team is sort of more capable of playing more of a controlled style of football, right? Rashford, you could say as well, as Alien Tenno said, maybe you could move Sancho to the left, and if Anthony comes in, he can play on the right. But I very much doubt that even if Anthony's signed, I very much doubt Anthony will start, or Gakpo. I very much doubt that they'll start on Saturday. I don't think they will sort of start. Casemiro might not even start. And if he doesn't start, that does slightly change the dynamic. You bring McTominay in, Eriksen, then you sort of get 4-2-3-1 again with him and Eriksen. So I think this is sort of generally sort of what we're going to look at. I think Casemiro is going to be absolutely key for us this season. Hopefully he can stay really, really fit and sharp. He'll help Martinez out a lot. Martinez, this idea that he's too small, etc., I don't buy into that too much. I think he's a very, very good defender. We've seen that in the Liverpool game. I've seen it at Ajax as well. Martinez, he's very, very aggressive. He's no nonsense, a bit like Cristiano Romero at Spurs. But there will be times, obviously, where he does get caught out in the air. It might happen a few times. Of course it will, right? But it's just about being smart, judging where the ball's going to drop, anticipation, awareness, positioning. But when you've got a defensive midfield player like Casemiro sort of in front of him, I imagine on goal kicks, if Southampton do look to go long, which they don't often do from goal kicks, Southampton look to play out more often. They haven't got that sort of target man type striker. But Casemiro, if we did need a bit of protection from Martinez, obviously can sit in this sort of area here to make sure he isn't isolated too much, right? But yes, I think in terms of how you go about this Southampton game, I think the midfield area will be crucial. Also, when Southampton play with this 4-2-2, in possession, these two attacking midfield players are often quite narrow. So they often come in to these sort of areas, right? So obviously that poses a little bit of a problem. If the likes of Fernandes and Eriksen do not work hard enough defensively, you can obviously end up in a little bit of trouble, right? If you get the likes of if Martinez steps out and misses the ball, you're obviously in deep, deep trouble. So you've got to make sure, if we are playing this 4-3-3, you've got to make sure your midfield players are disciplined. Eriksen was really, really good against Liverpool in that aspect, really. And Fernandes was good off the ball as well. But you've got to make sure when Southampton are in possession, I don't know what sort of shape we'll be looking at this time, but I'd imagine we'd be setting up, let me put Rashford and Sancho back in. I'd imagine we'd be setting up more on sort of a 4-1-4-1 or 4-5-1 or something like that. But I think Rashford in particular is going to be careful, because if you guys remember in that Liverpool game, when Rashford went to the left, I certainly noticed it in the second half. Alexander-Arnold was getting on the ball a little bit more. Salah was getting on the ball a little bit more. They looked a little bit more dangerous in the last 20 minutes, Liverpool. And that Rashford, a lot of the times, he wasn't in the position that Elanga was in the first half. So when you have Elanga on that left-hand side, he's a lot more disciplined. He gets back into shape quicker. Rashford doesn't. So if Rashford is playing on this left-hand side, he'll have to be careful, because Kyle Walker-Peters is a really, really decent player. I'm quite a fan of him. I think he's a really good player, Walker-Peters. I think he's a solid player. And Joe Aribo is left-footed. So Joe Aribo, already the Southampton players play in these sort of half spaces when they play this formation. But Joe Aribo in particular will occupy an even more inverted space. Obviously then, that will give Walker-Peters the license to look to run in behind, looking to overlap in this sort of wider area. So I think Rashford up against Walker-Peters, I think Rashford's got to be very, very disciplined again. We need to see the work rate again. Obviously, he played at number 9 for half the game and then on the left for half the game. But there's 11 people watching right now, guys. Please do smash a like video if you're enjoying. Get involved in the comments as well. We're just having a quick look through the Southampton game. Ritesh Jadav, thanks for your comment. Does Martial have that movement of strikers? I think Martial has the movement this way. Ritesh, he has the movement very, very well this way. He's very, very good at dropping into these pockets, but he could improve. He could improve on his movements if there's the ball in wide areas. He could improve on his movement in the penalty box. I think that's certainly correct. I think Martial could get more scrappy goals. We saw when he got those, I can't remember how many goals he scored, but I mean, when he had that 19-20 season, 2019-2020 season, Martial scored a few quite scrappy goals, really old-fashioned centre-forward goals, living off scraps. I remember at home to Sheffield United when Rashford was on the right, and he pulled it back for Martial, and he really got across the front post really, really well. So I think Ritesh, the answer to that, I think Martial's movement in this area is good, but I think he could improve his movement in the box, certainly. Our wingers need to help him, yes, certainly. Jaheim, if we can squeeze mistakes out of them. Yeah, Southampton are weak defensively. They're weak defensively. We can hurt Southampton a lot. I just think I want to see more of a control game. I think against Liverpool, it suited us to play more of a frantic game. But for me, against Southampton, I want to see more control. You bring Casemiro in there, more of a destroyer. Can we get Eriksen sort of really dictating the game? I think Eriksen could be a really, really good outlet for us in this game, sort of dictating from a slightly higher position. I think against Brentford, Eriksen in this sort of 6 area just wasn't good enough. So I think our issues will still remain with De Gea playing out from the back. Whether we look to go long and do the same sort of thing as we did against Liverpool, that'll be interesting to see what we do. Again, Southampton are a really, really good pressing team. They counter-press really, really well. Obviously, when they lose the ball, but from goal kicks, from sort of dead ball situations, Southampton will be aggressive. So we may, again, look to play this longer pass into the channel. You've also got the added bonus of Martial at number 9, who holds the ball up better than Rashford. So you may look for a longer pass towards Martial. Okay, guys, so that's sort of my sort of preview. Obviously, as I said, Southampton may set up in this way. Even if they set up in a different formation, their principles are still very much the same. But there's 17 people watching right now, guys. Please, guys, smash a like on the video if you're enjoying the video. Please do subscribe if you're new. If you are a new subscriber, and if you saw my Twitter analysis, etc., I really, really appreciate that. As always, please get involved in the comments. I'm going to read out some comments now. That was just a quick preview of the Southampton game. Let me get everything back open. Okay, guys. So let's read through some more comments. Casemiro and Fred. Yes, Casemiro and Fred. That's an interesting one, right? I think Casemiro and Fred could work in certain games. But for me, in this Southampton game, I think Ten Hag may favour more, look, can we control the game better? Therefore, you need Eriksen in that 8 role for me. Ideally, you'd have Frankie de Jong in there, obviously, alongside Casemiro, but obviously I don't think that's going to happen now. Human Nature, thanks a lot, mate. I hope you're doing well. Really, really appreciate the support. Thanks for coming along. Really appreciate it. I hope you're all doing well. Ritesh, Eriksen looked pretty tired. Yes, he did it. And that's only natural. You know, Eriksen is not used to probably playing with that much intensity off the ball. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But against Southampton, what people need to remember, obviously, we ran more than Liverpool. We ran a lot more against Liverpool than we did against Brentford. Why? Well, we had less of the ball. If you have less of the ball, if you have the ball less frequently, you're obviously going to have to run more. Right? You're going to have to run more. Against Southampton, I'd expect we're going to have more possession. Right? So Eriksen will probably not have to do as much work rate defensively as he did against Liverpool. He's going to be on the ball more. So he did look tired. I think a lot of players look tired. I think that's why we've got to make a couple of changes as well. I'd like to see Martial and Casemiro come in if they can. Varane, what does Ten Hag do with Varane? Do you play him again on Saturday, or do you give him a rest? You've got to make these sort of decisions. Obviously, Varane's on his own individual program. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do. It's really interesting. I think managing Rafael Varane is going to be absolutely key this season, guys. Right? If you manage Rafael Varane well, and I know it's all ifs and buts, of course it isn't, it's football, right? But if Rafael Varane is managed well, and we minimise the injury risk, and we minimise the amount of days and weeks he's out through injury, that will give us a real boost, What Rafael Varane gives you, he doesn't give you a lot on the ball, by the way. Varane isn't fantastic on the ball, right? However, off the ball, the way he communicates, the way he commands, the way he can cover. Martinez is very, very aggressive. So when Martinez goes in for a duel, Varane up here and with his feet in terms of his positioning, he knows where to be. So he can cover really, really well. When you play Martinez and Maguire, I don't think the balance is as good. And from what I've seen, I know it's only a small sample size, so we need to see more of it. But from what we've seen, Martinez and Maguire, the balance there wasn't quite as good. Because if Martinez went in aggressively, and Maguire's left on his own, you're in a bit of trouble, right? But if Martinez goes in really, really intensely and goes to press and misses it, you've got Varane behind you. You've got a lot more mobility and agility there to deal with it. So for me, Varane needs to be managed very, very well. We haven't got a centre-back like Varane in our squad. Martinez and Maguire, Martinez and Lindelof, But when you say Martinez and Varane to me, I think, okay, there's a little bit more complementarity sort of between those players. They're sort of complementary to each other a little bit more. So I think managing Varane's going to be key, guys. So it'd be interesting to see, I think particularly as Alien Tenno said, in October, Rafael Varane, what we need to make sure is Rafael Varane, we need to make sure he is fit to play those games. That's the first thing. And also, secondly, I imagine he'll play every other game or something like that. So I think managing Varane is going to be absolutely vital for us, guys. But please, guys, if you're watching the video right now, get involved in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Liverpool, the game. Let me know your thoughts on Southampton at the weekend. What do you guys think? My thoughts on Maguire. Yeah, I think he probably won't play as often as he did under the other managers. But still, I think that centre-back depth is going to be important, Alien Tenno. Because although I said Martinez and Maguire, I don't think that's a brilliant partnership. We know that at some point, Rafael Varane is probably going to get injured, right? Eric Bailly's gone to Marseille. So you've got Maguire, Lindelof and Martinez. Now, you're a Varane injury away from having to play Maguire or Lindelof. And a lot of people, and me included, we've seen Maguire and Lindelof plenty of times and we thought, well, I don't really think either of them are particularly fantastic. Right? I still think that. I don't think Maguire or Lindelof are brilliant. And if I was to put them next to Martinez, would I say that's a fantastic partnership? Well, I don't think they complement each other as well as Martinez and Varane do, right? So I think in terms of Maguire, I think he won't play as often, but still I think he will probably play quite a lot. I think he will play quite a lot because we need depth. We know Varane will probably be injured at some point. As much as I love the guy, as much as I respect him, what he's won and what he's done in his career, you can't rely on Varane. You can't rely on him for a whole season, right? So I think Maguire is in trouble for his place. However, I think Maguire will still play quite often. I think Ten Hag said actually on a quote, he's going to look to rotate the centre-backs quite a lot. And you're going to have to do that. I know in football, we have this phrase like, if you're winning, why change it? And so stick with what's going well. Why change something if it isn't going well? But as Alien Tenno said, I think there's a game every 3 days in October, right? So you can't play the same team every single game. With centre-backs, it's a little bit different. You can probably play centre-backs for a few consecutive games, but if you play Varane for 3 or 4 games in a row within the space of 12 days, he's probably going to get injured. You know what I mean? So Maguire, I think he might not play as often, but we're going to need depth. We're going to need Maguire's going to have to step up. Ritesh, but I still think we need to move Ronaldo. That's fair enough. That's fair enough, Ritesh. I just think Ronaldo, for what he gives you on the ball in terms of his sort of finishing, his movement in the box, we lose then the out of possession stuff, right? So even if Ronaldo scores a goal, we're losing things out of possession. We're losing the sort of coordinated press. What does Ronaldo give you out of possession? Well, he doesn't give you as much as a Martial would. Even Martial, we've seen in the past, Martial's been criticised for his work rate, lack of work rate, etc. But if you've seen Martial from the pre-season and this start to this season, Martial looks a lot more determined. He looks a lot more focused. So from what we've seen so far, I think Martial offers us more off the ball than Ronaldo does in terms of defensively, in terms of starting the press. So we'll see. But I see where you're coming from. For sure, Jose, I agree with you, mate. Gurpreet Singh, I hope you're doing well, mate. I'm all well. I'm feeling a little bit better. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well as well. Good day to you. Yeah, Timber, that would have been a good signing as well. Jurrien Timber. Jurrien Timber, good player, but obviously Van Gaal sort of put him off, as I suppose. But any other comments, let me know, guys. Please like the video. Let's try and get to 20 likes, guys. So if you haven't liked the video already, please let's get to 20 likes. Obviously, 3 points out of 3 games. It's okay. I think we all would have taken that after 2 games. If you would say to me, well, we're going to win against Liverpool, oh my goodness, I'd take that any day. I said on the stream I'd take a draw. I said 1-1, but I'm very, very happy to get the win. But I said this I think I said this on my stream after the Liverpool game, guys. There's no good putting that performance in against Liverpool and then not beating Southampton. We've got to beat Southampton. I personally think we need to go and try and win 4 or 5 games in a row now. Obviously, you always want to win games of football. But I think we need to try and put a run together. Let's try and win 3, 4, 5 games in a row. Let's try and get some confidence, particularly away from home. We've got Southampton, Leicester away. If we can win those 2 games, that'll be absolutely brilliant. Be absolutely brilliant for us. And then we've got Arsenal, I think, next Sunday. So I think away from home, we really need a good result. A good result and a clean sheet, I think, would be absolutely brilliant. So let's hope we get that from Southampton. We need to build confidence. Gurpreet Singh, any update on Anthony and Gakpo? No more update from myself. Gakpo, I think they want about £40 million. Anthony, I still think we're going to put another bid in, but I think both deals, I think we'll end up getting overpriced. I think Anthony's worth about £40 million, and I think Gakpo is worth about 20. I don't think they're worth any more, but we're going to get overcharged because it's late in the window, because we've already done sort of business with Ajax. Towards the end of the window, they've done a lot of business already. They let a lot of players go. So I think Anthony in particular will be way overpriced. But this is a situation we've got ourselves in because of how slow we've been with our business. Dumfries or Dest? I haven't seen enough of Dest really to comment, but I know he's not that highly rated from people I talk to on Twitter. Dumfries is a decent player, but he's a decent player. I'd probably take Dumfries right now. I might even take Dest right now. We do need a right back. But from what I've seen and what I've watched, the likes of, for me, like Tariq Lamptey, I'd rather have him. I know his injury record, etc. But in terms of what he offers as a player, I think he'll offer more than sort of Dumfries or Dest personally. But that's my personal view. I think Malo Gusto from Lyon would be my sort of choice, but I think he costs too much. Hakimi as well from PSG. They're 2 great options, but I think probably cost in excess of £60 million, which obviously that's not going to happen probably. Ritesh, if we play from the back, which players would you think would be comfortable? I don't think Casemiro is. Casemiro, right? Casemiro. When Casemiro is generally in possession, so when he's on the ball and he's got a little bit of time, a little bit of space to pick a pass, he can pick a pass really, really well. But Casemiro, when building from the back, Casemiro with his back to goal, under pressure in the first phase of the build-up, I don't think Casemiro that's not where his strengths lie. So I think our build-up play, I don't think Casemiro will improve it as much as a Frankie de Jong would. I really don't. So that's why I think he might go with Eriksen when we play against Southampton. Eriksen may play a little bit deeper from goal kicks if we look to play out from the back. We saw against Brentford when Eriksen was the sole six, and he was put under pressure, he struggled. But obviously, if you play with build-up in sort of a 3-2 shape, and you've got two players looking to receive the pass sort of from the centre halves or from the goalkeeper, and also we've got the option of playing the long pass up to Martial, I think we'll be better playing sort of Casemiro and Eriksen from goal kicks than we would just Eriksen like we did against Brentford, and particularly with Fred as well. So my answer is I don't think Casemiro is the best at that, but I do think that Casemiro, what he will give us elsewhere, I think will be really, really important when we lose the ball. Sort of the protection for the centre backs. To be honest with you guys, I think our centre backs have received too much criticism at times. Too much criticism. The defenders, all the defenders, the fullbacks, the centre backs, even the goalkeeper, who I think could do better, De Gea. I think we don't protect our defenders well enough. A lot of people think defenders are just there to defend, attackers are there to attack, midfield players are there to pass, etc. That's not the case. You've got to defend as a team. Malacia and Dalot did well individually against Liverpool. Martinez and Varane did individually well. But what was the difference? Well, the difference was that our defensive players had a lot more support from the midfield players, from the wide players, even from the attacking players. So that's why we were so good defensively, because everybody was working together. When you play with Ronaldo up front, that's a little bit more tough, right? So that's the thing, Ritesh, what I said about Ronaldo. When you do play him at number 9, you do lose that aspect of the press, out of possession. How are you going to approach things? But in terms of playing out from the back, we're probably going to have similar issues. We don't have the right profile for Ten Hag in terms of the Frankie de Jong type player. We don't have that type of player at the moment. So Eriksen will probably have to drop in alongside Casemiro, I'd imagine, from goal kicks, unless we play it long up to Martial and Rashford in that left channel again. Obviously, Walker-Peters is quite a short player, so we may look to pass it up to Rashford. But I think Rashford, even in the air, Rashford doesn't win a lot of headers. So Rashford, I think he should improve in that aspect. He doesn't really jump for the ball. But anyway, if we play a long ball and we win a throw-in or, even lose a throw-in, we can obviously press then from there. So we'll see what happens. But I still think the issues will be there in terms of build-up. I do. I think the issues will still be there in terms of build-up, unless you bring Eriksen maybe a little bit deeper alongside Casemiro for this particular game, or if you play long. I think we also need to see Diogo Dalot in that inverted right back, in that sort of inverted fullback area. I think this could be a game where you might see that, particularly as Southampton, if they play with that 4-2-2 with the two number 10s, you might see Dalot play a little bit narrower anyway. So you might see Dalot in this game be more of a sort of influence in that inverted fullback, because against Liverpool, our fullbacks from build-up were very wide. They were very, very wide, but you might see one come slightly narrower in this game just to aid the build-up a little bit more. So that's my thoughts there. Ritesh, my prediction, I'll go for, what should I go for? I'll go for a 3-2 win. 3-2 win. I still don't trust us defense. Actually, Casemiro's coming in, isn't he? Casemiro's coming in, possibly. I'll still go for 3-2. I'll go for 3-2. 3-2 win for United. I still think we need to adapt defensively. So I'll go for a 3-2. But I do think we'll get goals in this game. There's goals for us in this game. Southampton haven't got a great defensive record. I think we will get goals. Yeah, 3-1 United in 10 out. I really, really hope so, mate. So, yes, guys, any final thoughts? Get in the chat. There's 10 people watching. Please, every single person who's watching right now, please do leave a like on the video. It helps the channel out a lot. Let's try and hit 20 likes. I think we're on 12 likes now. So if you haven't liked the video already, please do leave a like. I'll probably be back after the Southampton game doing a match review. Things to look out for in this game. Look out for how we deal with the goal kicks. What are we going to do? Look out for the Southampton press. How are we going to deal with the press? Are we going to go long again? Are we going to play is it going to be more of a frantic game, or is Erik Ten Hag going to favour more of a controlled approach? I think he might try and go for that more controlled approach personally. in this particular game. I don't think we can rely on playing like we did against Liverpool. We can't rely on that style of play and that sort of setup in every single game. Look, that Liverpool game, we played very, very well, right? But that is an anomaly type of game. In the majority of games this season, teams are going to sit off us and say, come and break us down. We know when we had Ollie in charge, when we had Ranić in charge, we struggled to break down these low blocks. For a lot of time, we did struggle. Even if we eventually broke them down, we did struggle. And I think the likes of Donny van der Beek, I think he could be a very Martial, Sancho, these type of intricate players are very much needed. But I don't think Donny will start. I think Bruno will probably start again, but you might see Donny come on if we need to sort of break them down better. But I think, guys, Erik ten Hag will know that he can't rely on the way we played against Liverpool in terms of the attitude and the work rate. Yes, but in terms of our sort of what are we looking to achieve here? Well, we're not really bothered about keeping the ball. We're bothered about winning it back quickly and finding a pass into that right channel for Elanga or into that left channel for the Liverpool's right channel, left channel for Elanga or Sancho or Rashford in the second half. So I think against Southampton, we need to control the game better. Whether Donny comes in, I'd love to see Donny play, but I do think Bruno will play again. I think Eriksen will be important in a deeper position with maybe Casemiro in there as well. And I think Martial is needed as well for this game. But yes, guys, it's always been a tough game at Southampton, away from home for us. I think we've struggled in the last few years. But let's hope we get a result. As always, guys, please subscribe if you're new. Please leave any comments if you're watching this back. Please do leave a like as well. I'll be back after the Southampton game for a review. We'll probably do another analysis as well on Twitter if there's anything interesting to analyse. If not, we'll leave it for a future game. But yes, guys, appreciate all the support as always. Take care. Thanks for all the support. If you're a new subscriber, if you're an old subscriber as well, I appreciate the continued support. Take care, and I hope you enjoy your day, guys. Cheers.